Good evening, Blood Bowl fans. Welcome to Gurnei Stadium Dinos, and welcome to week 1 of the Sunday Night Blood Bowl League. This week we've got a good matchup between Gurnei and the followers of Sylvanus. The big things we're looking for at this game would be the speed of the Gurnei compared with the very large and impactful Lemmy Sukas, up against the general all-around durable team brought forward by the Undead. We'll see if they're able to keep pace with Gurnei as we get into things. Joining me is Reaper.
Hello.
Say hello, Reaper.
Greetings.
Right. Reaper and I are both members of the Blood Bowl League. This game we are using a replay for the cast, and we will for the next 2 weeks. However, for the final 4 weeks and for the playoffs, those all will be recorded live. The followers of Sylvanus is my team, and then Gurnei, coached by Kingfish, another one of our reporters, Adam, and Reaper, your team. That would be the Dark Elves, right?
That would be the Dark Elves, Nagaron's Chosen.
Alright, so looks like there's going to be a lot of moving around by Gurnei. Looks like he's trying to figure out exactly how he wants to position his team, positioning being very important with such lightweight and low-strength characters. You can see the stat line for the Skinks, very, very fast, but also very weak. And out comes the pitch from... Alright, so it looks like we're going to have some nice weather. Yeah, whenever it says skip for something, just don't skip because all of them will change after 10 seconds. And it looks like that is going to be a very early turnover for Gurnei, with a quick pass intended to go from Chameleon to Skink. Is going to drop down next to Iguana in the back line. And that's a little bit too close for comfort for Gurnei, and we've already got our first armor break of the game. I can expect to see a lot of those this game from the lower armor valued Skinks. Hopefully not too many KOs and injuries, but there are reserves, and Lemmy is going to get an armor break. That is a stun. Are you caught up with where I am?
I don't know where you are.
Alright, right now I'm on turn 1, followers of Sylvanus.
I am too. He's just about to... Yeah, he just knocked down Lemmy, so...
Okay, you're a short bit behind. Alright, that is going to be a knockdown coming out from Tidy Whitey onto Iguana, and with that, it looks like the followers of Sylvanus are going to take advantage of this roll and hold the ball on Gurnei's side of the field. Quasimodo's lesser twin moving up. Quasimodo holding the ball, guarded by the Whites and a Skeleton. All in all, not an extremely effective cage. Komodo likely would be able to make a blitz onto Quasimodo if that is the route that Gurnei wants to go, but so many adjacent stops coming out from all the Skinks on Gurnei.
Doesn't seem like that could be what he wants to do here.
No, in this situation, he would want to take advantage of his speed to set up around the Undead, maybe a space away. Try and keep the Undead from dashing past, but it looks like he's not going to be able to take advantage of the speed, and Komodo knocked down again, this time going to be KO'd, and that's the first player sent off the pitch for the game. And that is a big hit for Gurnei, not having one of their big guys.
Big hit by Ramses Patches the first. Good block.
Good block onto Basilisk. That's going to be a stun. And now Chameleon going to be injured And that's one of the many skinks sent off the field. Not too impactful, given that this is week 1. They're all at 0. And a badly hurt, not too bad.
Yeah, he is only badly hurt, so he will show up for the next game.
Yeah, and that is very important for a team that relies so heavily on having as many of these speedy little skinks as possible. Now, I have seen players run this team with a lot more brutes, but it looks like Kingfish is going for a much faster team. Unfortunately, Quasimodo is going to break free. I think he may be within the range that a Knoll could get there with going for it roll, but no guarantee. And now Goanna going to be injured.
Goanna's hurt.
That's a broken neck. Luckily, Saurus have an agility of 1, and you cannot drop below that, so this is actually not going to impact him in future games, but having having 2 of his 3 big bruisers, yeah, that's definitely going to be very bad for him this run.
Quasimodo's lesser twin trips up, and he is stunned. That's going to be a turnover.
Yeah, this is probably why he's the lesser twin. Also, we'll notice that Gurnei, there are no apothecaries for Gurnei, so if the last Saurus gets KO'd, there's no way to keep him on the pitch. So
that is true.
Ideally, I think right now for Gurnei, the best thing that he can hope for, that Kingfish can hope for, is that the undead will score as quick as possible and allow his KO to come back.
Ooh,
but
bad turnover by Gurnei.
That is going to be very rough. And it looks like Iguana is going to go down again. Lemmy likely the next target, and there it is, but no block, so it's going to be a reroll. And now that's a turnover from the followers of Sylvanus, the undead team potentially giving up on an early goal.
Patches is KO'd.
Yeah, that's losing the mummies. While they certainly are on the slower end and not ideal for dealing with the smaller skinks, if the Saurus, if Komodo comes back, then that's going to be a pretty good strength advantage for the Lizardmen team.
Especially if the followers lose really old One Eye, because then Lemmy Stukas can just run wild.
Yeah, and so can the Saurus, because the Whites, despite being very good blitzers, they only have 3 strength. So at that point, it becomes a requirement to use numbers for the advantage of the undead, which not really a situation that they want to be in. And there's the second reroll coming out from the undead team as Quasimodo nearly gets knocked down. The lesser twin nearly gets knocked down again, but Quasimodo will run it in for a goal.
Touchdown! As Quasimodo face plants into the end zone.
Right, and that is going to be 1-0 in favor of the followers of Sylvanus. So, very early goal, but the Lizardmen do have a speed advantage, so they could turn this around. And now with Komodo coming back, they've got their big guy, one of their big guys, but Patches, he's going to be back out on the field as well.
Today's game is sponsored by none other than the Cult of Slaanesh. Slaanesh, get your pleasure here.
Hey, Bloodweiser is my sponsor, thank you. At least I think they are. I haven't checked recently. But now it looks like the undead team going for a heavy controlling setup, trying to keep those wide angles covered, make sure that the smaller skinks don't make their way through.
Honestly, I think he should use the outer edges of the pitch a little bit more with his skinks, because the skinks are fast.
They are definitely very fast. Given that he's going to have the first turn, I think it might be good to set some of the brutes toward the inside, use skinks to cover, so that way he can guarantee better rolls. and then move a few skinks to the outside to at least try and cover the ghouls from the undead team. And high kick going to allow Gurnei to immediately recover the ball. Very advantageous for a team this quick.
Indeed.
This is going to set them very far ahead in terms of recovery. And it is going to be Basilisk moving back to take the recovery.
Whitest guy ever is injured. He's out for the game.
Whitest guy ever is indeed going to take an injury. Alright, I need you to, like, pause, count to 2, and then hit play, because you're a little ahead of me.
1, 2.
Okay. And back to game. Okay. And now it looks like this is going to be a successful hit against the Whites, and that is going to be a KO. Now both Whites have been taken off the pitch for this,
At least for this
push.
drive.
Yeah. So this drive going to be very advantageous for Gurnei, now having the advantage in speed and eliminating many of the higher strength threats.
Lemmy Sukas
And comb over Calvis.
Comb over Calvin.
Comb over Calvin going to be KO'd. That's not Lemmy. I believe that's Komodo fresh off the bench.
Oh, that is Komodo off the bench.
You're not pressing skip, right?
I'm not touching it.
Okay. I was wondering if that was the reason. Alright, Lemmy only going to get a pushback onto Ramses, so the Mummy not going to be going down, but it looks like Gurnei really wants to take down that big threat, and he's going to get the double knockdown, but it looks like that's going to go in favor of the followers of Sylvanus, at least for the stun, but Patches may as well be stunned, as the Mummies with their low speed only have enough to stand up, and any move will be a going for it roll. And it looks like he's going to go for the blitz, but it is not going to be successful, and that is an injury.
On
Patches is out for the game.
That is rough for the followers.
Very much so. That's 2 turn 5 injuries on 2 of the really big threats for the team. And now that's a turnover to Gurnei, who most likely are going to take really old One-Eye down with Lemmy Sukas. Now moving up into a more defensible position, not exactly setting up the most effective cage per se, but without the Whites on the undead team, going to be extremely difficult for them to succeed on a blitz.
Indeed.
So the ball is not perfectly defended, but with in the hands of the dodge player. And that's going to be really old One-Eye getting KO'd.
Dude.
All of the big bruiser threats are down.
Down on the side of the followers.
And the way things are shaping up, it looks like this is going to be an easy touchdown for Gurnei. But given that they are going first, no matter which turn they score on, the undead team will get 2 turns to try and recover. And now we've got a foul coming out from Beardy onto Haggis, and that's going to KO Haggis.
Haggis is knocked out.
So things very much shaping up in the favor of Gurnei.
A beat down by Gurnei here. But
Yeah, Beardy, however, going to be sent off. So the best thing that the undead can hope for is that Haggis wakes up, because Beardy will not return this game. And now Whiptail being knocked back by Elton John's X-Ray. That's going to expose the runner. Would definitely be a safer play to set up some tackle zones ahead, try and slow down Gurnei, but it looks like the undead team is going to go for a hit. And
fail.
That is going to be Quasimodo's Lesso twins stunned the second time this game.
All they really have
not
to do
performing
is
today.
march it down the pitch, and they should be good to go.
Yeah, only one left to deal with is Quasimodo. Looks like he's going to go for the blitz, try and make sure that he can move without relying on the dodge roll.
He at least creates some space with a pushback there.
And he's certainly going to create enough. Going to make a handoff. A little bit risky, but it will turn out for his favor. And now Kingfish moving the Gurnei players closer and closer to the end zone. Looks like they're going to get a turn 8 touchdown.
In a very good position to score just before halftime.
Yeah, so that is going to likely put us at a tie. But again, every drive we get those wake-up rolls. And right now, the Undead, 4 players KO'd on the sidelines. This is going to give them 2 rolls before the half. Before the second half. And now it looks like
is threatened by Durr.
Durr moving into position, just trying to create a tackle zone. Hopefully, at least for the Undead team, might be enough to trip him up. But given the huge player disadvantage, it's not going to be very difficult to move in and just take him out with a blitz.
I don't know if he can stop this touchdown.
There is no way. That is a guaranteed score. Very good rolls for Gurnei this half, and very well played with what they were going for. So, what is going to determine who can take this game is likely going to be all the wake-up rolls coming in for the next two turns.
You at halftime?
No.
Lemmy Suka's gonna move up, going for the bash.
And that's gonna be an armor break. Durr's KO'd. So this move already guaranteeing a touchdown, but now potentially knocking another player out for the rest for the second half drive. Not to mention, and the touchdown coming in from Gurnei, and that is Skink.
Skink?
Yeah, good for him. So that's going to be a little bit of SPP farmed out for Gurnei. So far, no major star players standing out. Most of the players this game actually spending their time on the sidelines. Only one wake-up for the Undead team before the half. So the only turn being offered is now going to be Gurnei. Perhaps their best option to keep as many players off the line as possible, because with this major disadvantage and such a slow team, the only thing the Undead will be going for is a couple of quick armor breaks before the half, try and keep some players off the pitch.
Indeed.
Maybe farm a little bit of SPP out. And that is going to be a quick snap. So likely the Undead just going to move up a little bit and try and get into better position to allow them to take advantage of the hits they're going to get. Unfortunately, all of the players on the line, very, very high armor value, and it's going to be extremely difficult for any armor breaks to come through. Likely the best option to get one is going to be a blitz onto the skinks in the back. But nevertheless, they're going to try making one-die rolls. And that is going to be a successful hit, but no armor break. Elton John's X-Ray going to get the knockdown on Komodo. Once again, no armor break. And here we have comb over Calvin. Just a push onto Lemmy. And no follow-up, so it looks like they're not going to use the blitz onto Lemmy and just try and get a KO or injury on the Spiny Tail. But Lockjaw Larry not able to deliver, and that's going to be the halftime. Alright, the second half starting up now, and fortunately for the followers, 3 of their players woke up before the between now and the half. Only Haggis staying KO'd, so Beardy getting sent off the field is going to be an even trade between the two. And here comes the kick.
Cheering fans.
And Gurnei is going to get an extra team reroll. Very advantageous given that they do not have any team rerolls. All of the money being put into backup skinks, likely for the ability to make fouls with the risks and go for a couple more, have a couple more backups for the low armor value units. Maybe not the best investment, but if it works in favor, that could make them a threat towards some of the faster teams in the league. And it looks like One Eye only going to get a knockback onto Lemmy.
The Skaven matchup later in the season is going to be wonderful to watch against Gurnei.
Yes, that is definitely going to be a game of skill and positioning, so it will take everything the coaches have to make sure they can keep the advantage. And it looks like Frilly is going to be KO'd by Tidy Whitey, coming furiously off the bench, looking for a little bit of revenge.
Can Undead be upset?
And
because if Undead can be upset, then I believe Tidy Whitey is furious right now.
I can think of no other way to describe it, and it looks like a cage is going to be formed along the left half of the pitch for the followers, or I suppose right side. We should refer to it from home team side, so the right side of the pitch going to be caged up by the followers. Quasimodo coming in this time to support Lesser Twin. And now it looks like we've got Komodo coming in for a hit on Tidy Whitey, only able to get a pushback.
But now, but he's threatening the ball carrier now.
Yes, he has pushed into the cage, and that is the most important part of the maneuver here. And it looks like Gurnei now trying to set up just a straight line across the field, which the followers not having a lot of speed may be held back greatly by this, given that the only real option they seem to have is keep moving along their side of the pitch, which is going to press them against the sidelines. Redhead going to get a knockdown onto Gecko, freeing up that side of the field, and now it looks like One Eye coming in for the blitz.
He's going to knock down Komodo. That's Komodo's KO.
Yeah. Oh, Komodo back off the field. That is his second time being KO'd this game. Somebody needs to check his armor.
Honestly, the followers should just be glad that he isn't hurt. Although, the Whites with their regeneration...
Are you referring to Komodo?
Mm-hmm.
Komodo...
Tidy Whitey has... the Undead, I believe all of their units have regeneration, actually.
A fair number of them. I believe it is the entire... yeah, looking over the units, the entire team does have regeneration.
But it has not...
Unfortunately, they were unsuccessful at rolling it on the injuries. And it looks like the prehensile tail is going to catch and trip up Elton John's X-Ray.
Imagine getting hit by that one.
That's like a club to the shins. He's lucky one of them didn't shatter.
Spiked club to the shins.
And Tidy Whitey gonna get knocked back by Armadillo.
Lemmy is going after Quasimodo here.
It looks like he's going to make a threat onto the ball. Does not press forward, though. Yeah, and Lemmy not pressing forward and following up, which would put the prehensile tail onto Quasimodo's lesser twin. That might have been a better play to lock him in, and now it looks like Gurnei making their way across the field. It could indeed, because now, with the way that they are set up, there is a potential for the Undead to move the ball back to the other side of the field. Of course, this would not last for very long in terms of free space, given that the Skinks can easily make their way back over and cover it again.
Whiptail
Whiptail is
getting
getting sent
knocked
all over the
around.
place. And it looks like Lesser Twin
And
is going to make his way
Quasimodo's
out
Lesser
of
Twin's
the
gonna drop
opening.
back.
And that's a handoff successful going to Tidy Whitey. And it looks like the Undead are trying to set up a cage on the other side of the field. Of course, the Skink's going to be on that again very quickly, but the Undead pulling out of a potentially extremely dangerous situation for the ball. Especially given that this drive likely going to be the last one of the game. Given the way these teams are set up, only Gurnei has the chance to actually make a touchdown within 2 or 3 turns. But given how long it takes Undead to score, it is very possible the Undead will not score till late game. If they score at all, which
The
means
Undead
Gurnei would have very little time.
theoretically run the timeout.
They could run the timeout if they
theoretically
choose to
run
go
the
for a
timeout.
draw.
What I'm saying is you're
They could run the timeout for a draw or run it out before a touchdown,
Run the
but
timeout
Gurnei
before a touchdown.
moving very easily to cover them. But that's going to be a failed bonehead roll coming out of Lemmy Sukas. And that's going to make it very easy for the Undead to move. But Whiptail is going to actually get a knockdown onto One Eye. The followers of Sylvanus coach not getting the ability to pick a more advantageous roll, given that both would have knocked down One Eye.
and he didn't want to use the.
So-
It seems he didn't want to use the reroll there.
He had no choice. The reroll would only be able to be made by Gurnei. It's only the die selection that is actually made by the followers.
Right? Yeah.
So
yes.
both teams sans big guy for this coming turn, and it looks like Dur is going to get a lucky roll onto a knoll to knock him back. But it is very likely that Iguana is going to break through the cage on next turn. So Undead going to have to make a few
Adjustments.
adjustments to try and keep hold of their positioning on the field. And here we have it, the Skinks making their way back across the field and covering up this cage once again. Perhaps a little bit too close to the cage and allowing a little too much bruising, but it is giving them a lot of roll advantages. So
I actually like
the cage is going to be broken. This is actually turning into a very favorable play for them, but unfortunately, double skulls rolled by Iguana, and he's going to be KO'd.
That is big this late in the game.
That is huge this late in the game, especially because now, not only is this a turnover, but Lemmy Sukas didn't move, so he did not pass a bonehead roll, and he is still going to be without a tackle zone for the next turn.
Basilisk! Knocked out by Elton John's X-Ray.
That is going to be yet another player taken off the field for Gurnei, and this is where things are starting to fall apart for them. Without their big guys, it is only a matter of time before the Undead beat down, stun, KO, injure as many of these Skinks as possible. And once that happens, they have very little opportunities to get
The
through the
Gurnei
cage.
do not seem to be crocodile rocking this game.
No, they were looking very promising in the first half, and some very good plays coming out of the Coach Kingfish, but
Spear shape.
unfortunately, at this point in the game, speed is not having enough of an impact on the way this game is going. And fortunately for the Undead, that's 2 successful going for it's from Redhead. Had those failed, that would have been a severe problem, because that opening in the cage would have very easily led to a
threat on
strike
the
on the ball carrier. Not just a threat, but the assists.
Hold on a second. Big turnover from Gurnei. As Spiny Tail and Quasimodo are both knocked down.
And now we're moving on to turn 14. Time is running out for the Undead to push across the field for a goal, for a touchdown. And it looks like the coach is recognizing this and starting to move up the cage.
Honestly, Honestly, if I'm Gurnei here, I look to stall for the draw.
Yeah, there are not many options here. I think that going for a win is off the table at this point, given the number of KOs and injuries currently forcing the team into a player disadvantage. And a man disadvantage against a team stronger than you, you have to rely on the strength or the speed of your players. And that's going to be a KO onto Gecko. So at this point, Gurnei now sitting with only, I think, 6 players on the pitch, 3 of them currently down.
Five skinks and just Lemisukas still up. And Lemisukas is going to get knocked down by really old One Eye.
So Lemmy is effectively useless. That is an armor break. He's stunned. So Lemmy is going to be out of the game for the final 2 turns effectively. Unable to get up next turn and almost useless the following one. And block incredibly coming in clutch for... Yeah, no block on... That was
Skink, I believe. That was Skink.
Tidy Whitey taking Skink down and injuring him. Again, another badly hurt, so fortunately for Gurnei, nothing that is going to impact the game following this one in the tournament. However, at this point, all that's really left is a Hail Mary break for the cage, potentially, as Tidy Whitey now sitting only 2 spaces away from the end zone with only 2 turns remaining.
I don't think it can stop this.
No, it looks like this is going to be a win for the Undead unless there is a Hail Mary break for the cage that
Gurnei
can actually
needs a miracle
pull
here.
off. Absolutely. Getting through the cage should not be the issue for any of these skinks. Unfortunately, though, that's not the problem. They are at a major strength disadvantage once they get in. And now, there comes the knockdown from Redhead. And with Spiny Tail on the ground, it looks like he is going to go for the blitz, but he's going to be taken out just before he gets to Tidy Whitey. Fortunately, only a stun, but that's going to be a turnover.
And that's the game!
That is the game. It looks like, yep, Undead not going to take any chances with bruising, just going to go for the win. So this is going to secure a victory for the followers of Sylvanus and place them 1-0 to start out the league. Gurnei starting out 0-1, but having some very decent plays.
2 wake-ups on the final kickoff, but it's not going to help them.
Not going to help them on the score. Now all that Gurnei can hope for is an injury, possibly, to get a little bit more star power points onto the team. Try and level up before the end of this game.
Reset, focus on the next one.
And it looks like the only player that really has stood out this game in terms of star power is Tidy Whitey. Him and Quasimodo being the only 2 have scored, but Tidy Whitey got an injury, I believe, moving him to 5 star power. So likely no level ups for the Undead, and I expect the same for Gurnei, having them lost most of their players toward the end of the game.
GG!
And it looks like Gurnei going to move all of their players toward the front line, try and use their only remaining turn to try and build up a little more star power and hope for the next game to have better luck. And here comes the kick out from the followers, and we're going to have a pitch invasion.
The fans are invading.
Yes, this actually could turn out beneficial for the Undead, because only 1 foul is permitted per turn, so if key players get stunned, Yeah, the 2 key players have been stunned, which means that the only potential for an injury onto them is from a foul. Only 1 per turn being possible. So at this point, the fodder is the only target. But Gurnei going to be still hoping to generate a little star power. Only getting knockbacks there.
There's the foul. And Armadillo is gone. No surprise there. And
Armadillo will be sent off, and there will be no injury inflicted on Tidy Whitey. Oh, he rolled Snake Eyes on that. So that is going to be the game. The MVPs being Beardy from Gurnei, despite being sent off in the early in the game, and Lockjaw Larry for the followers.
Good game.
And looking over, good game indeed, and looking over the ball possession percentages, the followers held the ball 28%, 68% of the game, the entire time on Gurney's half of the field. So it is no wonder that it was difficult for Gurnei to score when they did, but they managed to score having the ball only a quarter of the game. So quick scorers, but not functioning the best on defense, it seems. And there will be no level ups. A lot of failed dice rolls looking over the numbers. Many of the rolls coming in at around 50%. No successful regenerations for the undead, being very negatively impactful, but that is going to be the game. Next week, I believe we are covering the Blood Claws game.
I believe Necron's
Trying to remember which game we picked.
Against Wisconsin.
I thought so, but right. You played Wisconsin. I don't know why I thought you played the Blood Claws. That's week 4. So next week, the Nagron's Chosen Dark Elves up against the Wisconsin Vamps Vampire team. So looking for a lot of quick-moving players, but given that the 2 of them have very similar agility, it's going to be an interesting one. So come back next week for that game. All right, we are done.